I have 13 letters of opposition from neighbors as I get ever so closer to my presentation in front of the county commissioners. Will they successfully stop my special use application for my glamping operation? Not likely, and I'll explain why in this video. Hey folks, I'm Chris Tube, the Glamping Guy, and I'm journaling through my special use application. I'm in review right now, and we'll see how it goes. If you want to set up a glamping operation on your private property, you're probably going to apply for some sort of special use or variance or some condition of some sort, and you may face, like me, neighbor opposition. This isn't uncommon in the glamping world. In fact, it's extremely common with any new development in any neighborhood. Change seems to tick people off. The land development world calls these people NIMBYs. NIMBY stands for Not in My Backyard. It's a term used to describe opposition or resistance from local residents or community members to proposed developments, projects, or initiatives, even if they might support the same endeavors elsewhere. In other words, they're fine with the glamping operation across town, but not in their backyard, or next door, or even down the street in their neighborhood a mile away. They want things to remain as they were when they moved in. The same, like forever. Interesting fact, my neighbors of 20 plus years here at Monument Glamping are more in arms about my glamping operation than the people who are moving in brand new next door. People tend to think it's cool to have a glamping operation in the neighborhood, but not bringing it into their neighborhood. In this video, I will explain my personal philosophy of NIMBYism, plus how I handle successfully the opposition. Before I get into it, I want you to know that I am in the middle of a 21-day review, and that's what this series is about. I'm sharing with you my thoughts as I go through the details of my special use permit. I'm also launching my course, Easy Entry to a Glamping Business. Covers the journey, the opportunity, and your roadmap to building your own glamping operation on your own property. Go to glampingguy.com, get registered, and I'll see you in class. Now, on to the neighborhood opposition you're so curious about. I have two properties, one of which my neighbors have written letters of support. They love me. My other neighbors, not so much. So here's some background. I had a little bit of opposition when I submitted for my special use permit in 2022, but it really boiled down to just one neighbor. She complained about my ragtag tents filled with miscreants. Yes, she actually used those words in her opposition. But she didn't manage to gain a ton of support, so the county granted me my special use permit administratively. If you don't know about the process of a special use, check out my previous video because I detail about the difference between an administrative and a public hearing approval of a special use permit. Your jurisdiction may be different. You might be in an HOA, you might be in town or in public land, whatever. It varies, but there's typically a variance of some sort or a pathway to a glamping operation somewhere in the code. So I'm getting ready for my 2023 season, and I get a great deal on a tiny home. It was actually an RV, a fancy one, and I sent an email off to my county planner asking, hey, do you think it would be okay if I put this in as one of my units on my glamping operation? And she said, go ahead and put it in your site development plan. I said, okay. So I rolled in the RV, got it all set up, and my neighbor balked that I was actually going against my special use because I had a non-tent structure on my property. And the county kind of agreed with her. And I said, what are you talking about? I got a special use permit for 8 units on my property. And they said, no, in your site development plan that hasn't been introduced yet. And I went, what do you mean by that? And I had messed up. Actually, I have a video because I did this live a year ago. It's almost a year to the day today. And I walked through that process of how I actually got dinged by the enforcement officer, and they were right. I was not in compliance like I thought I was. But the county came up with a solution. I would just go ahead and apply for an addendum to my special use and to better define what a glamping structure is, because I didn't want to be limited to just tents, and I never really had that intention, but that's kind of how it was assumed in my definitions of my special use and my letter of intent. Because glamping encompasses more than just tents. They're really unique stays. They're hobbit holes, they're tree houses. I've done school bus conversions and tiny home structures, some sort of camp structure. The idea is that this is a semi-outdoor experience that you're inviting people onto your private property to enjoy. Now, although this is an addendum to my special use, it's really not a special use itself. it still is going through the same process of letter writing and informing the public that, hey, this is what's going on in the neighborhood. Now, I'm thoroughly convinced that I will convince the Board of County Commissioners and the Planning Department that this is a legitimate development to my special use, which is a recreation camp in the county. Totally legal and totally legit. However, neighborhood opposition is literally costing me tens of thousands of dollars to get this done. The special use addendum is $2,038.50, and that's just for the piece of paper. I've had to upgrade my legal team, and that was an extremely expensive price tag. They're doing a fantastic knockout job, but boy, are they expensive. And then there's screening that my neighbors want, and that's going to cost me about $30,000 of tree planting and privacy fences. That is going to cost a lot when it comes down to actually building something. Like I said, this isn't uncommon in the glamping world, so some might think it's not worth it. But I love glamping and I love America, and I have every right to do what the good Lord sees I want to do with my land. So there is a little bit of don't tread on my land feeling here, and this is what glampers face when they're developing their private property the way they see fit. It's called neighborhood mitigation. That's at least what my lawyers call it. And it's an important role that glamping developers need to embrace when they're developing their glamping operations. Now, I remind you, go to glampingguy.com and get registered for my class, Easy Entry to the Glamping Business. I'll teach you everything you need to know to start a wonderful glamping operation on your private property.